Welcome to the Bookers Alliance podcast, where we hold the pencil and the pencil is power. Coming at you right now is your host, Marky Mark, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Frank Donaldson. Join us as we discuss the ever-changing landscape of professional wrestling. So hang on tight, you jabronis, and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, everybody. Got to be quiet today. We're on the plane ride to Saudi Arabia, getting ready for King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. Got my co-host with him in the flight seat. You know, Frank. He's chilling out. He's got his mixers. He's got the flight meal going on. Frank, what you eating, man?
Oh, well, you know, they're gonna bring me a little gefilte fish. And, can I get a gefilte fish? Gefilte fish. Oh, sorry. I flashback to rush hour right there. We kind of got the rush hour vibe going on.
We got it going on.
Yeah, we got a little span of rush hour vibe here. We're checking out the hot stewardesses over here. But, yeah, like you say, we got to keep it down, keep the energy low. Plus,
Rick, we don't have Rick on the plane, do we?
The guy, no. I mean, we'll need that's a helicopter. He ain't on the plane ride. He's doing the helicopter over there, catching them HR cases. So, yeah, we're going to stay away from that. We're going to keep the podcast clean today, as clean as we can.
Yeah, so come
let's
on
not
in.
Make promises we can't keep.
Come on in, everybody. Pull yourself up a plane seat as we join the rest of the WWE
Buckle
crew.
your seatbelts.
Buckle your seatbelts. Pay attention to the flight signs. You know, if pay attention to the exit sign because this plane might crash.
Well, it did say Boeing on the side of it, so you know what that means. Anything could happen at this point.
So get yourself some popcorn. Come on into the house.
Some peanuts.
Yeah,
they don't serve popcorn.
Some popcorn on plate.
Get you some peanuts. Get you a cup of soda. No, you ain't getting the whole can. I mean, you can ask for it, but it won't come cold.
Yeah, they won't give you the whole can.
You'll go get a little plastic cup there. Get you a little napkin.
Delta used to give out earbuds. I don't know if they still do or not.
I doubt it.
And an eye mask so you can sleep.
It'd be nice if they would make the seats a little bit bigger. So, you don't have to lean all up against your neighbor here.
Yeah.
That third guy over at our over here, he hates us right now. But I mean, what can you do, right?
Right. So our topic today, what we're going to talk about, is a very controversial topic. Some people don't know what to think when they hear these words, but we're going to talk about, should wrestling have an off season?
Uh-oh.
Ooh, off season. What would you do for a few months if you didn't have Raw or SmackDown on your TV?
I don't know. What do you do when football's off on Sunday?
Touche.
What do you do when basketball goes away in what, June, and then it disappears till like October?
That's foreign to me, sir. I don't know that one.
What about baseball? I mean,
yeah, that's foreign too.
Yeah, nobody's watching that. So I mean,
used to watch it.
That kind of is what it is, and I think they have an off season, but I'll be honest, I don't know.
but we talking about we're not going to define the terms of the off season, but we just want to talk about it just in the manner of, should they take a break, be away from our TV, away from house shows, away from PLEs. The whole touring, the whole shebang, should they just go away for a few months and then come back, and what that would mean and what it would look like to the wrestling fans, right?
It'd be different. I mean, wrestling's the one constant that you always have. You know, what do they always say? Raw's the number one leading episodic TV show in all of history after surpassing MASH and things like that, because it's always there. You know, it's that one constant that on Monday night, up till at least the end of this year, on Monday night, you always know you're going to have Raw. And, you know, one night a week you'll have SmackDown, because, I mean, it's touched every other week, other night of the week except Sunday at this point.
SmackDown has moved around, has been all over the place. Raw has always been consistently on Monday.
Yep.
As of right now. So, I mean, life's going to get a lot more interesting in 2025. Yeah,
but
when they hit that Netflix deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, that just made me think, though, with that coming up, and I mean, just the way the business as a whole is changing, just made me think, you know, does wrestling really need an off season at this point? You know, I look at some of the stuff we already talked about, you know, some of the prep work we did here. A lot of things seem to say yes. But I mean, as a fan, I don't want to see it go away. You know,
right.
Well, like you said, what am I going to do on Monday night, for however many weeks or whatnot that it's gone?
Underwater basket weaving.
I mean, maybe I can get my ass out of the house and go do something. I mean, go pick up a hobby or
maybe
go play a sport or something like that. Maybe I could do that, but it ain't happening right now.
Also, for when y'all listen to the playback of this podcast, I swear I ain't picked up smoking.
Well, no, between allergies and this is just a weird time of the year. So I know y'all are feeling it too out there. So wipe your noses and pull up and turn up your volume.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get into this. So one of the reasons why we could lobby for wrestling to have an off season, first and foremost, injuries.
That's probably the biggest reason.
And man, right now the injury bug, boy, it's the 8. His plate was full and it's still eating.
I mean, so going into WrestleMania, we picked up, a few injuries here, a few injuries there, right? I mean, the biggest one probably being Seth Rollins and CM Punk. You had, that match was set up and then completely fell apart due to injury, right?
Right.
And that was one of the main events of the night of WrestleMania, and the whole thing went to the shitter. With no better way to say it,
right?
Because honestly, both guys got hurt. I mean, Seth was already hurt before the Royal Rumble even happened, and then Punk got hurt at the Royal Rumble. So you took from what they might have been able to pull together with Seth being okay enough to get out there to just being a complete shit show because both guys were injured. And I mean, coming out of WrestleMania, my God, I mean, we haven't stopped yet. First Rhea win. I mean, she went the Monday, like the week after the week after WrestleMania. I think she went out. And hell, the King and Queen of the Ring. It's hard to say both because I'm only used to saying one. But the King of the Ring, the Queen of the Ring, has been marred with injuries since the start of this damn tournament. And they've only been doing it for 3 damn weeks. But every week, progressively, we've lost more participants due to injuries. So it's like, well, damn. We ain't doing that many house shows, so we're only really wrestling on TV. Where the hell are these guys even getting injured from?
Yeah. Then you got on the other side of the aisle, you got AEW over there with Eddie Kingston getting ACL tear and something else happened to him with his leg in a crazy match over in New Japan. You got Darby Allin out there getting hit by freaking buses.
Yeah, he's climbing Mount Everest and then gets hit by a bus on the way down. How the hell do you have that happen? You climb the tallest mountain in the world and then one of the tallest mountains in the world, and then on the way down from it, you got hit by a bus. What the hell kind of luck is that?
You got Bryan Danielson over there.
So he's a walking injury.
Homeboy needs to retire, but look, I get it. I get it. I truly get it.
He says it's his last run, but
at the same time, I mean, it's an old Yeller story at this point.
It's getting to be
somebody gonna have to put him down.
I mean, so he just said on some interview this week he needs some kind of surgery. What the hell? He just got off surgery. I mean,
so that's one of the main points to talk about an off season being good, for the injury bug. So a lot of these wrestlers, now granted, we are not in-ring performers by no mean.
Clearly. I want to talk about injury.
I can't tell you what these gals and fellas go through on a day in, day out basis. But what I can tell you, we all know their mentality. The show must go on.
Yeah.
It's not, okay, well, I'm injured, I can't do it. It's okay, how do I do it with this injury?
Exactly.
It's
every athlete on every level. Like you said, we're not in-ring performers, but I mean, we done played sports before.
Right.
And we all know, and everybody out there listening that's ever played anything or participated in anything knows, you're going to push your body through if you think you can. And that's usually when the injuries happen. When you're out there doing something on a bad wheel or something that you probably could have just let rest for a couple of weeks and you would have been okay. You said, no, I got to push it through, and now you break something or you tear something or, you injure something far worse than what it had to be because you just, you had the love of the sport.
Yeah, and I mean, Seth Rollins is a prime example. Going into WWE, going into WrestleMania season there, he does something to his leg. He's out for a little bit. He fights through the pain, and then we find out what all he actually wrestled with on WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people came out of that on the WWE side. A lot of the performers, even Triple H, were looking at Seth Rollins and going, you want to see an MVP?
Yeah.
That was the MVP of WrestleMania weekend.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. He was injured at Rumble. So, I mean, he was injured in December, January time, somewhere in there. He was injured at that period before the Rumble happened. So he did crazy rehab and crazy, exercise to get himself to even be able to perform at WrestleMania. Then he got injured again going into WrestleMania. Then he probably got more injured I mean, I just remember his poor limp body walking out there for that spot in the Cody Roman match.
He couldn't even do the whole spot.
No, I mean, he basically carried himself out there. He used the chair as a crutch to walk himself down to where he needed to be just to get in the ring and take a chair shot just for the sake of the match. When he should have been in some hospital somewhere,
he couldn't
getting
even,
his body worked on.
He couldn't even walk out on his own. KO had to walk him out.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, so from top to bottom,
and
and he was an intricate part of the weekend. Obviously, going into it being the world heavyweight champion. Again, like you said, I understand it. He had to do what he felt he had to do, but if there was let's say a 3-month period after WrestleMania where he could recuperate, you could deal with it a different way. You could handle his situation differently, and he could have prepared himself mentally differently.
And I mean, the last example I'll throw out on this one is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega worked himself to the point where he went out and had 10 surgeries at one time.
Yep.
So his body was broke down that much. He still continued on. So an off season would give them time to sit back, assess their damage, and go, okay, I got time to have surgery.
Yeah.
And if I have this surgery now, I might not make it back from the start when the off season ends, but at least I won't be out for 9-10 months of the whole thing. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Because, going into it, you can say, hey, instead of killing myself out here, when I see a little bit of injury, okay, well, there's an off season. We could take time to address it. And I mean, it doesn't have to be the same off season for everybody, right? Maybe SmackDown has a few months here and Raw has a few months there. That way there isn't an emptiness of wrestling.
Or alternate it, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. Raw could take off, let's say, after Mania. Obviously, nobody's taking off before Mania. So from January to April, all hands on deck, right? But let's say after that, in April, Raw takes off. May NXT takes off. June, SmackDown. And you circulate it, there's a lot of different ways to get there where we don't have to just have a complete, void of wrestling, but something's got to give.
Yeah, and so we're talking about injuries here, but let's talk about, injuries are with your body, but let's talk about your mind, your soul, your spirit.
Yeah.
Burnout comes into play, and that's kind of where that happens. That's the battle within your mind about continuously on the grind, going through it day in and day out, missing family, missing birthdays, missing funerals. I mean, these men and women that get in there and do this, don't get it wrong. We appreciate what they do, because for our entertainment, these people not only lay their bodies on the line, but they're putting their families on the line and things like that.
They sacrifice a lot for the love of the business and
really
for the entertainment, and nobody thinks about that. You want to see your favorite guy on TV every week, and when he ain't there, you're like, what the hell? When Roman takes off all the time, how much grief did he get the last year or so about being away for so long? Hell, Roman ain't been away. He had been at home for 10 years. He needed time to recharge the batteries.
Just remember what was said about Roman, though. He held that belt as long as he held it, in remission from leukemia, on very, very strong leukemia medicine.
In a global pandemic.
He had to be away at times.
Yeah. I mean, we all were away for a while.
Right.
He just went away completely away because, somebody coughs on him, he could die. Right. Somebody coughs on me, I could cough back, and, that's about the extent of where I would go. But somebody coughs on him the wrong way and he could die. You're not, and we love it and all that, but it ain't worth putting your life on the line.
No. And some of the other burnout, though, people like The Rock, people like John Cena, they get into or Dave Bautista, they get into it like, hey, we've done all that we wanted to do in this. What's left for us? Oh, Hollywood. Oh, yeah. Let me go try that avenue.
Right.
Well, 9 times out of 10, you're trying new things because you're burned out at what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see another opportunity, and that's all cool. Those guys and girls, when they take those opportunities and they do things like that, more power to them.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much more money involved in Hollywood than they can make in wrestling. I don't care what they achieve in wrestling.
But as a fan, on the little bit of a greedy side here, you miss them like hell when they're gone.
Absolutely. But that's another aspect of it too, fan burnout. Yeah. let's talk honestly. Well, 3 weeks ago we did a show called WrestleMania Hangover.
Yep.
And we could have just as easily called that episode WrestleMania Burnout because I mean we were so charged up and it was just so heavy going into Mania. There was nothing on the back end of Mania that was going to keep that excitement level. That nothing could have happened. Jesus himself would have had to come down and enter the ring, against the devil for me to be like, man, we're at this level of wrestling on the last week of April that we were in the first week of April.
Is he a AAA performer?
It could be. I mean, Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. True. Against El Diablo.
But a touch.
There you go.
Had to throw that in there.
There you go.
But yeah, so, I mean, burnout, it's a real thing. I don't know how many of you out there have professional careers or just in your everyday life. Burnout, everybody at some point in time has experienced it.
Hell yeah.
You know what it feels like, and when you hit it. The question is how do you push through it? What do you do?
A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people just suffered with it. They don't have a choice. Their job isn't flexible enough that they have the option to recover from burnout, and they just get themselves to a mentally stressed level that they can't contain, and they either quit or they just blow up at the job or have a meltdown. I mean, it's real for everybody. Nobody listening to this ain't reached burnout at some point in time. Every athlete reaches it. Every employee reaches it. Hell, every person reaches it. A lot of times you just get burnt out with day-to-day life. Just ain't for you no more. So
let's talk about the every day-to-day person. Let's talk about this for a minute. Recent PLEs that we've watched from Montreal, from Lyon, France,
okay,
from Wembley Stadium. You see that type of crowd over here?
No, because I mean we've seen it all, we've done it all.
Correct.
There's nothing to impress us like that anymore. When you go to Wembley hadn't seen a pay-per-view style wrestling in 30 years when they got AEW last year. Lyon, France had never had one. I mean, this was completely, quote, to use a crazy term, foreign to them. I mean, that the concept of it. So of course they had that kind of energy for it because they haven't seen it before. Over here, I mean, you'll get a hot crowd every now and again, but week in and week out, hell no. But let's say they went away for 3 months, like after the pandemic, right?
Right.
When when people got off of them screens in the Thunderdome and actually got to get back in the building for WrestleMania,
right?
Oh hell, they were as charged up could be. Let the rain be damned. Samoa Joe and a tarpa. They were like, what? It's still okay. We're out here at WrestleMania. We're charged up. We got masks on and we're sitting away from each other. So it's dumb looking, but we're here and we love it. Yep. Well, now that's passed, that welcome back stage is passed. Now it's like, well, hell, we're still here. Yeah. We like it. But damn, we ain't got that kind of energy to bring no more.
I will tell you this as a fan. I look at certain things. Now I might be a little eccentric on some things, and a lot of people might not share my point of view. I'm a huge concert goer.
Yeah.
When I go to certain concerts, I look at that as a religious experience sometimes because it's the caught up in the moment. You're at that point in time. You're at that place for one specific reason, and you're there to enjoy everything that's going on, right?
Yeah.
So as a fan sitting in my living room watching that crowd in Lyon, France, you could feel the energy coming through the TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could feel it. And there's a part of me going, damn, I wish I was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the atmosphere, I mean, like they said, the building was shaking. I mean, there were
Crazy
points
atmosphere
where the hard camera was literally shaking. But let me ask you a question. If you went to a concert here recently, right?
Yep.
If you went to that same concert every week for the next 2 years, would it still have the same oomph as it did when you went a couple weeks ago?
No, sir.
Exactly.
It would not.
So that's what's happening over here with WWE because it's always there. And it's impossible to be as good as it was leading into WrestleMania season just because. I mean,
right.
So we're on a downswing of it, but yet they're still having it. And they're starting to see the remnants of it. It just can't be as good as it was. I mean, unfortunately, and it's hurting Cody's title reign. It's killing Swerve's title reign because, I mean, I don't even know where he is on the card. Hell, Swerve's in the 3rd match, the 5th match. After, he kind of wrestles into a commercial and shit like that. He ain't main evented nothing since he won the title. So I don't even know if he's really the champ or if he's like the Intercontinental champ at this point. So
he still ain't main eventing.
No, he's
not even in the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. You know why?
because they don't know what to do with it.
He's co-main eventing.
Is it? Do they actually consider it a co?
They are considering 3 matches. They're calling it a triple main event. I just remember seeing that.
Well, that's awesome. If I'm the heavyweight champ, I'd love the triple main event.
Exactly.
And he ain't going on last, which means he's probably the mid-card main event.
Because you know that Anarchy in the Arena match will go on last.
That'll be last.
But come on, man.
So, yeah, he's a mid-card main eventer.
What are you doing with Swerve?
So, he was the hottest guy in the company by far.
Man.
By far, he was the hottest. That's why they put the title on him. The fans basically made them put the title on him.
Grassroots.
And and the same thing happened with Daniel Bryan. When Daniel Bryan won 10 years ago, fans made them do it because they were so far behind him. Then he got the title, and the fans were like, okay, now what? And they didn't give him anything, and now that's probably the least memorable title run in the last 10 years.
And now we get Christian.
Yeah, so now we got Swerve Wrestling Christian because that's the best they got to give him. I mean, who else are they going to give him? They already buried Wardlow. They screwed that up.
Dude, that is one of the... Look, we all have a list of tragedies that have gone down in the history of professional wrestling. Wardlow is on that list for me.
So this is a little bit of a sidebar here for everybody listening, but it still works in with off seasons because Wardlow's on an off season right now. Miro's on an off season right now.
Ricky Starks
is on an off season right now. There's a whole ton of AEW guys that are on off season right now because their asses ain't being used.
Right.
Who would definitely benefit a guy like Swerve to be beating for, to defend his World Heavyweight Championship. But I digress.
Yeah. But just as far as the fan experience, though, we've been to a few live events as far as, over here in the old Spectrum Center over here in Charlotte. We've been to a few events. And, we're in the one of the hometowns of professional wrestling.
You would think.
I mean, this is Flair.
We only get one pay-per-view.
We hardly ever get any PLEs.
Yeah, I was going to say, we maybe get one pay-per-view in the last 5 years, but we get one Raw, one SmackDown in the run. Matter of fact, the pay-per-view was it was an NXT pay-per-view.
Yep.
I forgot that.
But if you think about it, though, the Raws and SmackDowns that we've been to, we ever experienced a crowd like happening in Lyon, France?
I mean, there's no fans in Charlotte that would be that fired up. Unless Ric Flair comes in and literally does the chop, there's nobody that's going to get that fired up for anything that happens on this side of the pond.
Yeah, this is Flair country. Flair breathes wrong, and we all get excited around here.
And shit, Flair. So first of all, if Flair was to be in Charlotte anytime soon, he'd be at Bojangles, not at Spectrum. Second of all, there'd be like 15 people in the front row watching him. So I mean,
with his woo energy drink.
Yeah, well, he would need to serve those up for free to get the 1,000 people in the building energized, because that's about what they'd pull here in Charlotte.
But yeah, so the fan experience, man, an off season would definitely benefit us U.S. fans. For all of our podcast listeners overseas, we appreciate what you guys pump into that environment when we see y'all on TV over there.
Hell yeah.
We wish our
Make
U.S. We wish our U.S. crowds would do the same thing. The songs, the chants, I love all the experience, but y'all do things differently anyway. I mean, I've been to a soccer match, Bank of America Stadium. It was Colombia. I think it was Colombia versus Ecuador. Mm-hmm. Didn't know a word anybody was saying around me. Didn't know anything, but I knew I could hear the songs. And after a few minutes of hearing the songs, I'm in the stands drunk as hell singing along with them. I mean, it
felt the energy.
Energy, and it felt crazy good to be a part of that. Man, oh man, what it would feel like to be in that on a Raw or SmackDown.
Absolutely.
Yep. So something else that would serve up good if we had an off season. Storylines.
God, yes.
Some fresh storylines because we are in a lull right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's WrestleMania hangover season. Yeah. I mean, we're in the dog days of summer, as they call it right now. And I know it's early ass summer because it ain't even, Memorial Day yet, but it's early ass summer. But we're in the dog days of it because it's post WrestleMania. I mean, there ain't nothing, like I said, with what we got, especially with what we got this year. I mean, it happens every year. After WrestleMania, we always say it's a roller coaster effect. WrestleMania is your peakest of peaks. It's as high as you're going to get. So it's got to drop down again to work its way back up to SummerSlam. But damn, what we got this year's WrestleMania, I mean, that was almost touching the heavens up there as high as it was going to get. We're not going to see that kind of energy again.
You're talking about your ebb and flows, your ups and downs. They took us, and The Rock was saying, just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
What a hell of a ride it was.
Yeah,
but now
they took us as high as we could possibly get. But I mean, all of y'all, all of our smokers out there who listen, once you get to a certain high, you get no more higher. I mean, at this point now, you're just wasting the product because you're getting no more higher.
RVD, we got you, brother.
Exactly. And we know he's listening, so you shout out to RVD. But RVD will tell you ain't get no higher at some point. At about 2:00 in the morning, I don't care what you do, you ain't get no more higher. You're just wasting product at this point. So now you got to give it a break and go get you some Funyuns and go get you, some. If you're in the Midwest, you go get you some White Castle, go get you a few sliders.
White Castle.
You ease it all out, and that's where we're at now. We're at the Funyuns White Castle part of wrestling.
What an analogy! I love it.
We're working our way back up to get that high again, but right now we're low. We're at Munchie level right now. We're chilling.
Now I will say this: there are storylines happening, but you have to be acutely in tune with Triple H and his booking style because there are storylines and then there's storylines within the storylines. There's shit happening in the background of what you may see as a backstage interview, but off camera
there's something else happening.
You got Liv and Dom coming out of a room together. You got,
I ain't mad at that. I would be in that segment every week.
Go ahead, Dom. Go ahead, Dom.
I'd be in that segment every week.
Dom, go ahead.
I wouldn't even be complaining. I'd go ahead, be like, you know what? I ain't get featured this week, but I got that. Cool.
But as far as the storylines, Triple H is a completely different booker. He way different than Vince McMahon, which is okay. I mean, that everybody's going to have their own flavor of ice cream that they're serving up, as they say. But a lot of people are sitting back, and unfortunately, we're in a generation that's gimme.
Instant gratification.
So nobody wants to sit back and wait, and it does feel like we're in a lull. I mean, it really does. But
as RVD would say again, you got to let it burn sometimes. Sometimes you got to let it smoke itself out. I mean, you can't just keep lighting and puffing. Sometimes you got to just let it mellow.
So y'all don't know this, but we got RVD and Riddle in the corner.
There you go. I know everybody listening is probably like, when this dude starts smoking, I don't smoke nothing. I've never been involved in it, but that don't mean I don't hang out with people that do. And y'all listening that know I'm talking to, that's a shout out to y'all. Go ahead and take that shout out. You know who you are. Blaze one up for me.
But the storylines right now, they're slow simmer. A lot of people want that instant gratification, but we're going to get there. They're building towards SummerSlam, and I feel like SummerSlam is going to be another great event. I think some of the little sprinkles that we're getting here and there before we get to SummerSlam is going to be good. I really think Cody and Logan Paul, I think they're going to show out in their match that they got coming up soon in Saudi.
Absolutely.
Any match you put Gunther in right now, storyline wise, I'm all here for.
Is he our choice for King of the Ring?
I think he's
pretty much
King
hands
of the
down.
Ring.
He's
I can already hear him
choice.
being introduced as King Gunther. Like you know that's coming.
One, and for two, I don't even know who the hell the other guys are on SmackDown that are still in the tournament.
Randy and Tongaloa.
That is right. So I heard a lot of rumors.
Tonga.
Yeah, Tama Tonga. I heard a lot of rumors that he might win the whole thing because then they can relive King Tonga and King Haku and all. I was like, well, that could actually be interesting if you tell the whole story.
You give me
Triple H should tell the story, but if they do that, then you got to bring Haku back and make him the new wise man, right?
Absolutely. He's got to be in there.
At that point, you got to bring him back and make him the new wise man because you got to see Haku crown his son.
Speaking of storyline, did you listen to the interview Cody did on Busted Open?
I heard pieces of it.
So there are some nuggets in there storyline wise.
Nugget. Ross.
That's a little Easter egg. We'll
there
put
you
it
go.
There. But there are some nuggets of information that he kind of dropped on us. I feel like him and Bully are in sync on some of this stuff that is going on. I really feel like he may not ever turn fully heel, but I believe there's going to be some heel moments somewhere along the way, because I'm sorry, if y'all don't know Cody, he is Homelander.
Yeah,
there is, and if y'all don't know Homelander,
if y'all don't know Homelander, it's because Amazon ain't showed The Boys in, 2 years at this point now? I mean, God, between them and Stranger Things, I don't know what the hell's happening in none of them worlds no more. I know both of them are set to come back, and I have almost zero interest because I done forgot the whole damn show.
But the storylines that are there, there is an evil undertone in some of the things that Cody does. I really believe that you're going to get some of that. He also dropped a little request in there that he believes he should have a classic wrestling manager by his side. And Bully says, he retweeted and says, I know somebody.
Who could that possibly be?
I'm going to go on a limb. Cody might wind up with the wise man somewhere down the road.
Ugh. Well,
I think that would be very interesting.
I need Cody to bring. Cody's traditional manager would be Brandy. That's the only manager.
No. I think it's going to be somebody along the lines of the Arn Anderson kind of character that he had in AEW.
That could work, but then Arn started to talk about guns and all that. Then Arn disappeared from TV. Now the reason I said
don't test Arn.
The reason I say that Brandy would be the good traditional manager for him is because there ain't no better way to make him heel than to put her ass on TV.
Yeah, she's a natural. She's a natural.
And is she a heat magnet? When they did that little Cody over the top thing, or roads to the championship, but God, they were the most hated couple on TV. Everybody fell in love with Miz and Maurice at that point because they were like, man, we hate these two more than life itself. Brandy can turn that man heel tonight.
Yeah.
She pop on TV on SmackDown tonight. And I promise they'll boo the hell out of them. They'll boo them all the way out of the arena.
Yep.
And damn it, The Rock will be the people's champion again. Good Lord. You want to make that happen, bring her back. I'm telling you.
But yeah, off-season wise would definitely drive the storyline at a faster pace. You wouldn't have to do a slow burn. Yeah. But I will say this, for all of us wrestling fans that are paying attention to kind of what's going on right now, Triple H is implying some of the Dusty booking.
Yeah.
He's a real student of the game, no pun intended. But he's a real student of what Dusty did as a booker. And you can really tell he goes back to the old stuff and he books backwards.
Yeah.
You can tell. And
but that's how he learned. I mean, he grew up under the learning tree of Vince McMahon and Dusty Rhodes and Bruce Pritchard. I mean, the guys that have been around the WWE for the last 50 years, plus bring in all the WCW guys that he, worked under. Hell, there ain't no better student of the game than one who had the best teachers. And I mean, he basically sat in the University of Wrestling. But I mean, as far as storylines go, don't forget the AEW thing. They could damn sure use a full restart.
Who?
AEW as a whole.
They got storylines.
That's why they need an off season more than anybody else. They need to take time where they get off TV and Tony Khan sits down with people that are smarter than him, which is a whole lot of other people involved in that wrestling organization, like Arn Anderson and Jim Ross and Jake the Snake, and
you got Jeff Jarrett, you got Bryan Danielson.
They're all there.
They're all
there. Christian, they're all there. Sit down with those guys and say, you know what? Take 2 months away. And we take 2 months where the wrestlers heal up, but our asses are in the office every day.
Yep.
And we're coming up with compelling storylines for at least 6 or 7 acts, right?
Get in that kitchen and cook.
Right. We need 2 or 3 good damn storylines in the women's division, right? Tony Storm's doing a storyline, but that went so far off the rails. I have no idea where it's at right now. No idea where it's going. I know she's wrestling somebody in Double or Nothing coming up. Don't know who, don't know why. Then you got Sasha. Well, they done fumbled the ball on that all the way. And they've had a whole damn year to work on that. I mean, Sasha's been in the fold since December. They've had 6 months to get that straight. And somehow or another, she bombed in 3 weeks?
Yep.
Hell, they started booing her 3 weeks after her debut, and now they're in full booing her mode.
She was on screen for 2 months before she even took a bump.
Yeah, hell, as soon as she took a bump, now they're booing the hell out of her. It's like the fans are they're just over it. They're like, but if they had been off TV, they could have spent time with vignettes, and we could have had Sasha stories, Sasha interviews. We could have had little bits and pieces of Sasha, and not just seeing her come out there and not do nothing and now the fans are just over it again. So
one other thing that we want to talk about real quick before we wrap up our show, we want to talk about training camps, the possibility of training camps in a combine, if they was to have an off season. Now we know that, granted, NXT is not billed as a training center. They're built as a third brand. Center. but we know what they are. They are the kind of
they're the building blocks.
They're the place they go for that, indie wrestler or upstart.
Performance center is where you hone your craft. Or for some guys, that where they very first learn it. Now that they've started recruiting college athletes, some of these guys, they're getting their first taste of wrestling in the performance center.
Yep.
AEW needs something just like that. First of all, they need a booking performance center, right? They need guys that are going to be your head bookers to go through a camp with those same names that we just mentioned. First candidate they need to take is Tony Khan through this booking course. Sit him down and teach him the art of wrestling booking, not matchmaking, right? Now, so we want something that's going to make me want to watch for 3 months, not for 3 minutes.
Yep.
And that's what AEW's missing. They don't have any storylines that are going to pull you in for 3 Dynamites or 3 Collisions or 3 Rampage.
Yep.
They have where you might watch 3 matches on one of those shows, and then you never watch the other shows because you have no idea what the hell's going on them.
But you want to add an element to NXT, have an off season, but have NXT fill in your off season spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have everybody who is anybody, have Adam Pearce, have Nick Aldis, have Triple H, have Paul Heyman, have Road Dogg, have all of these people as scouts sitting down in NXT.
Well, WWE was smart. Apparently, they're doing something like that on, what is it, YouTube now, or they've got some Hulu, I think, and something like that.
It's on Roku.
Okay, yeah, I knew they had something like that, but put that on a much broader scale, right? Like, not everybody's watching Roku. Out of all the streaming stuff out there in the world,
Roku?
That's the last one people are watching. I mean, you're doing Speed on Hulu, for Christ's sake, or Speed on X, for Christ's sake.
Twitter.
You could have ran that on Twix, and I mean, that would have got a lot more pull. But I get it. It was a fledgling idea that they had never really tried out. Yep. You do it for a season. If it's a hit, then it will get picked up by one of the. But yeah, I mean, that is compelling TV, right?
Yeah,
those are the stars of the future. Tough enough. When they did Tough Enough, that shit was interesting. You watch that. Look how many people came out of that, like The Miz and guys
and
like that who made it.
I get why they have spun the narrative of NXT as a third brand.
Yeah. You can sell pay-per-views and you can get people to watch your TV show.
That and some of these guys and girls that they're pulling off of the indies and coming into NXT, they've been at this for like 10 years. Yeah. It's not like they're rookies. So you don't want to call it like a developmental because it's not. But those guys and girls are actually down there learning the WWE. Yeah,
you got to learn the TV style of wrestling. Right. I mean,
So, I mean,
you were telling me about, you were watching some old Ring of Honor this past weekend or the couple weekends ago or whatnot. When you look at those guys then and you see how they work now, they're working completely different than they are because they have to work TV style of wrestling.
Now granted, I will say a caveat of that. Kevin Owens as Kevin Steen was still batshit crazy.
Absolutely.
He was still powerbombing people on ring aprons.
Had he still been Kevin Steen, his career would have been over 5 years ago.
It would have been over.
Because, I mean, there's a shelf life on that kind of wrestling, and that shelf life ain't long.
But, I mean, you're absolutely right. To see how, and granted, it's not like we're slamming any other style of wrestling. I mean, if you listen to last week's podcast, we appreciate the different origins and different styles of wrestling that have been brought and presented to us American fans. But, as far as a style, there is a WWE style of doing things. And, that NXT is kind of a training ground, a proving ground, so to speak, for that. I would love to see like a combine aspect as far as,
that would be great.
Who could do, who's the one that can do a triple Lindy moonsault, whatever it was,
It's kind of like what Tough Enough was. I mean,
exactly.
Then they brought it to mainstream where they had them running around the ring with damn kegs and stuff like that. So they found a way to make it stupid.
Yeah, they made it stupid at that point.
But the concept, the original, maybe if you gave a guy like Triple H the reins of NXT and said, hey, let's do a new Tough Enough down there now. Because, I mean, back then it was a Vince production because it was coming on USA.
Right.
So Vince had his hands all over it.
Don't doubt Triple H is still not over NXT. Shawn Michaels is down there.
But true.
That's them two peas in a pod.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, when Vince was there, we know what Vince likes. Vince likes fart jokes and poop humor and stuff like that. And, I mean, when you start to put that on your Tough Enough show, it starts to lose interest. But I mean, I can remember watching a young Mandy Rose on Tough Enough, and I said, damn, if she hits TV, I'm watching. I don't care what she does on TV, I'm watching. And somehow or another, Vince brought her up, and I was like, I ain't watching.
No, it was really bad.
Yeah, it got really bad.
Really bad.
It was awful. And I was like, you know what? I ain't watching. Then she went to NXT and I was watching again.
What was it? Toxic Fate? Was it
Toxic Attraction? Yeah.
So that whole group they had going, that was actually really entertaining. Not from
when they figured that out. They found it, but
and it wasn't from an eye candy appeal. It was like what the storyline, the actual matches they were having. That stuff was really interesting.
But the whole Fire and Desire with Mandy and like Sonya Deville, don't remember none of it. Nothing came out memorable out of that. They didn't create any stars.
Speaking of Sonya Deville.
Yeah, welcome back, Sonya
Welcome
Deville.
back, Sonya. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
There you go.
But, that's what we wanted to talk about for our topic today. Should wrestling have an off season? Now, granted, as a fan,
hell no.
Hell no.
You're right. We want to watch. We want
I want to see it 24/7.
52 weeks of wrestling, three times a week, occasionally on Saturday. Hell yeah,
it's
that's
like
all
church.
fun.
It's like church. You got to be there.
Absolutely, but once you start wandering into these areas, and damn, I can't see my favorite wrestler no more because at that point I'm like, damn, why am I watching anymore? So.
Yep. So drop us a line on our social media platforms. Let us know, should wrestling have an off season? Should they go 24/7? Are you just a rabid fan and you can't get enough? Or are you like, oh, I need a break from this?
There you go.
Which is it? But anyway, which way you go, we appreciate you listening to today's podcast. Thank you for what you do. And with that, we bid you adieu.
Peace.
Today's podcast was produced by SBP. You can find our podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, connect with us on our social media accounts. Search for The Bookers Alliance on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X.